Hey, Omi, thanks for joining Karen and I for a 50-minute seated class as we stretch our shoulders, open our neck, and treat our hips, hip flexors, and low back, right? Take a deep breath, just letting yourself fully arrive to the mat today. I'm seated on a half block to give my hips a little bit of lift. That might translate to a pillow or a blanket in your world, or flat onto the floor that you're seated on, no problem. Personalize the space for you as you become aware of the points of contact with the ground, with the mat, ideally identifying two sits bones and lifting your vertebrae from there. Straight line from the ground up through the crown, breathing now into the energy of our spine. Washing the exhale down the back, using 5 or 6 breaths to fully arrive. And depending on your level of awareness with the breath already, your first few breaths here are about softening the muscles of the abdominal area so that the belly inflates, almost balloon-like, literally expanding away from the midline. Chest lifts, crown of the head lifts, everything fills up fully, lengthening the breath a little bit longer than you have all day long. Noticing that peak fullness, trying to sip a little bit more air in and washing it down the backside of the body. Following the exhale a little bit longer than you think you can, engaging the abdominal muscles, using those same points of awareness to close the exhale. So you're hanging out empty, engaging abdominal muscles, not taking a breath yet because it comes fully, naturally, easily, boosting our immunity with this slower, more diaphragmic breathing. And as we come to sit for any yoga practice, we always initiate the yogic practice by honoring our breath, by hearing the sound of our breath, by feeling it move into the body. So we're just going to play with the breath here now that you've had some opening, oxygenating rounds of breath to become aware of what is possible. We are going to play with the most therapeutic parts of our breath. That would be the maximum inhale and the maximum exhale. So take your full breath in whenever you're ready, filling up gently through the belly, through the chest, through the crown. And start to notice what happens in the throat as you feel that fullness, right? Keep inhaling a little bit more if you can, or if you've reached that peak point, begin to swallow into the throat. Almost locking the air that you've trapped into your lungs there for this time. Relaxing, holding it as long as it's comfortable for you, releasing as soon as you need. But growing aware of your heartbeat, of your mind, body awareness. As you do hold that inhale, maybe 1 beat longer, exhaling fully, completely out the nose when you are ready. So if that first exploration was pretty intense, if you haven't done this regularly, then take a couple rounds of breath before diving into the second observation. The second observation being the exhale. So follow it here if you're still exhaling. Use this breath as desired to explore exhaling a little bit more. Engage the abdominal muscles. Rest there. Listen to the heartbeat. Don't breathe until you're ready. Breathing in naturally, fully, lifting belly, lifting chest, lifting crown, hold. Whether it is a number of heartbeats, a gentle tap of each finger, or just the rhythm of your own mind, body awareness, exhale. And it's normal, natural not to be able to hold the exhale as long as the inhale. That is beautifully because some amount of oxygen in your bloodstream went into your bloodstream from the air in your lungs. So you can't exhale as much because it's literally entered your body. So just take one more round of breath here. The inhale teaches us discipline, holding it there, using that valve at the throat, Vishuddha Bandha, teaches us discipline. The exhale, let it all out, softens, teaches us patience, helps us to let go with the flow, be without response, patience. Good. If this breath work is new for you, it's normal to be really lightheaded after such mindful deep breaths. I hope that you are able to go a little deeper or a little more full than even you expected. As we inhale, we'll take a nice happy breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Inhaling, arms come overhead. Exhale, elbows bend, mouth opens. Just 4 more like that. Inhale, stretch up with your inhale. Nice. Last round here. Inhale through the nose and out through the mouth. Left hand comes onto the heart as the right arm stretches up and forward. Bicep comes near the ear as you kind of swim the arm beside you, and then let it start to open, palm out behind you, really drawing a large circle overhead. Again, swimming in front of the body, opening palm slightly upward to really swim overhead. Nice. As much attention as you can bring to your fingertips to let them be straight and aligned out beside you. Everybody's proportions are different, so try to make the largest circle that feels best for you. We're following that same movement at least 4 times here to draw synovial fluid into that joint. So rotate on the downswing in the opposite direction and breathe patiently as you just follow the reverse path for the same amount of rotations, minding your fingertips, staying anchored to the sits bones. Last 2 rounds here, backstroking gently, maybe palm shines upward, especially on the upstroke. Last one, we end upward. Yes. Tap on your forehead, tell yourself how awesome you are, be grateful for something that's already happened today. Right? And if it's early and you're struggling, you woke up, right? Being grateful for another day full of infinite possibility. Beautiful work. That space between the eyebrows being a way of activating 2 nerve endings, one at the edge of each eyebrow, but more than anything, honoring our pineal gland, which helps us imagine vividly. So right hand comes to the heart, left arm begins to swim forward, allowing yourself to shine the palm upward slightly, especially on the upswing, drawing your attention towards your fingers. Find yourself listening to the joint, noticing any clicking or popping or sound of the cartilage, and breathe steadily. Taking the same path at least 4 times here to effectively draw synovial fluid into your shoulders, keeping them young and vibrant, flexible, and safe. So on the downstring, you can switch directions, backstroking now, allowing the bicep to come fairly close to the ear as you draw the largest circle comfortable for you. Continuing to breathe, staying anchored through the hips. The nice part about this work is that we're also stretching the connective tissues around our lungs and armpits where there are hundreds of lymph nodes. So we're flushing lymph and oxygenated blood around the body. Cheers on the upswing. Get that gratitude for this wise body, right? A very, very wise body that we're living in. So fingers will massage underneath your collarbone. Hopefully this feels pretty good already. But if it's a little awkward, just lean into it. You can maybe try to massage the skin off the bottom of that collarbone, or push with individual fingertips into the muscle below the collarbone. Both of these gestures are going to talk to and affect the nerve endings at these, I think it's called K2 point. Long story short, as you walk more towards the armpit, you feel a broader, pushier muscle. As you walk closer, you feel your sternum and the bone. So tapping on the bone is going to activate your thymus. It's going to help your immune system versus massaging here in that padded spot towards the shoulders. That's going to unlock the kind of stress that is heavy on your heart, like around uncertainty or making decisions or, no-win scenarios. So depending on what serves your practice best here today, tap into that space for about 30 seconds longer, either using circular movements of your fingertips or actual tapping gestures. There are 9 general areas where tapping is important. And yet I find just introducing 1 or 2 in a way that we'll actually use it in the future is important. So boosting our immunity here in the center sternum point, or helping unpack some of the stress that comes with decisions or uncertainty are available. Beautiful work. So for today's class, we're gonna stretch slow, sustained movements for the shoulders and the low back and the hips. I invite you to take your left leg out in a half butterfly shape and just take 5 ankle circles outward initially, letting your whole ankle move comfortably. And this is both great to warm up the body for the sequence today, but also a reality check on whether you need to elevate the hips or prop the knee with a blanket or a pillow. Take your opposite direction using your big toe to reverse the movement. Again, drawing synovial fluid to our ankle joint, preventing injury, helping that youthful agility stay with us for a long, long time. Allowing your foot to become still, sit upright and listen to the legs, noticing the energy of the foot, the energy of the kneecap, and the energy of this connection point, right? Try to mentally compare it to the other hip, noticing the low back one side to the other. Inhale, arms stand up. Palms come together and drop through heart center. Sat Nam. Allow these words to come into your mind, just repeating them quietly. Sat Nam. Inhale, arms stretch overhead. Last repetition, maybe you'll even say it out loud. Sat Nam. Stay anchored through your hips and allow your head, chest, and shoulders to begin to fold forward directly through the midline. Maybe bringing hands towards the ground, stretching them out if that feels more comfortable, bending onto forearms if you're super flexible here today. Over time, even drawing your forehead to the ground. Noticing what's going on. We have about 1 minute here. And Sat Nam means I agree to the truth within. Right, the 2 words have to do with light and knowledge in Sanskrit, but when it comes to reciting this affirmation, why do we say Sat Nam in the yoga practice? It's a way of listening to the body. Take 3 more exhales here, releasing the forehead towards the mat, softening throughout your points of contact with the mat, anchoring through the hip with every inhale so that you are still connected to the base energy that we started with. Exhale fully and gently tuck your chin as you press yourself upwards. Beautiful. First half butterfly, arms come overhead and through heart center, Sat Nam. All right, so we're going to take our left foot in front of the body and place it outside the knee. Start to make it so that the shin is parallel to the edge of your mat, parallel to you, right? We're just seeing what is happening in the knee and the hip while we do that. It might look different for you than it looks for me because I'm sitting on a block. But when you look down, you should be able to see maybe a 90-degree angle, your shin creating this straight log-like shape against the long edge of your mat. And that's exactly what this posture is. It's preparation for fire log, which we'll come into in a moment. But first, see if you can take the heel of the foot we're working with and touch on top of the knee. If you can touch on top of the knee, try to get the top of your foot onto the thigh where you can see what your half lotus feels like, looks like today. And I made that look pretty easy, but the truth is there's a lot of hesitation and exploration before you get comfortable with that, right? And if you do have a half lotus expression, then let's draw our attention to the leg underneath, allowing it to come out more like a fire log, right? No need to go into a full lotus here, but if you have the heel kind of connected to the shin or able to pop up, you know that it's getting close, right? So tuck that extra leg in if you came as far as I did, and return the working left leg to the mat in front of you. Let's see how fire log looks here. So your shin is parallel to the long edge of the mat, just out parallel to you as much as you can. And then you'll let the leg behind it make an equal sign. So when I look down, it looks like this. You're going to create that as well. And see just how it feels, how it looks. Maybe gently press down on your knees, maybe anchor in through the hips, sit upright and just allow the tendons and cartilage around your knee to experience this stretch. Satnam, right? Sometimes trusting the truth within is accepting a vulnerability or an impatience in our root. So from there, we'll take the right leg out, letting the left leg comfortably come in. 5 ankle circles outward, leading your foot around, getting the synovial fluid into the ankle, preventing any injury if we trip or slip or fall. Breathing easy here, letting the shoulders be relaxed behind you. You'll switch directions, guiding with your big toe, taking at least 4 repetitions to effectively protect and lubricate the joint. Gradually finding stillness in your foot, sit upright and listen to the body, noticing the energy of the foot, the knee, and the hip point, which opens your awareness to the feeling of the low back from one side to the other, maybe the feelings of the shoulders, one side to the other. So inhale, stretch arms overhead, bring hands to heart center and breathe, exhaling Satnam 3 times here. Inhaling when you're ready, big arms stretch overhead. Anchor through the hips as you fold, exhale forward, allowing your fingertips or your forearms to support you for our 1 minute hold here in a half butterfly shape. Crown of the head draws downwards, softening through the jaw, relaxing the face, letting the breath move easily. Every inhale, reconnecting your hips to the ground. Every exhale, softening your jaw. Satnam, I agree with the truth within. I agree with, I am in harmony with, I am a reflection of, a reiteration of, a vibration of the truth within me. Exhale, fully release the chin towards the chest as you press through the fingertips, bringing yourself upright, honoring that each side of the body holds something different, that maybe on the right side, you have a little more desire to stay or impatience to stay. So wherever you are, bring that leg in front, find it parallel to the edge of the mat, just to see what's going on with the knee and hip as we explore the fire log sensation. And because we know where we're going, the mind sometimes wants to move more quickly. So just notice those tiny little nuances that you can make to create the shin absolutely parallel to the edge in front of you. And then notice how your foot is related to the opposite knee, the opposite shin. If you're able to touch the shin or the knee with your foot, then you're probably able to try to get the top of the foot onto the top of the thigh, gently pressing the kneecap down if you are able to get there into a half lotus shape, right? And there's lots of iteration along the way. So if I made it look a little too easy, trust that there is benefit to gain at every centimeter along the thigh before you get your heel to the hip, where you're going to beautifully compress the ovary and your vital organ here. So you can always up level the practice, right? And if you do have a half lotus shape, check in with that bottom leg, placing it kind of like a fire log to see how it feels in the knee, in the hip. Sat Nam, I agree to the truth within, requires us first to listen, right? First, we have to listen. We use Sat Nam to help with cognitive dissonance around our heart's desires and the reality we live in, but we can start Sat Nam by just listening within, trusting the voice within. So if you want to see how your feet and knee correlate, notice where you are for a full lotus. There's no need to go there, but it's a wonderful thing to celebrate. We'll tuck that bottom leg back in and release our legs back out wide, legged straddle this time. Just taking both feet, rounding them 2 or 3 times in each direction. Beautiful work. Draw the soles of the feet together and let yourself sit comfortably on your hips, sitting upright. We're just gonna draw our chest forward on the inhale. And then exhale, rounding backwards. It's like a cat-cow shape for the spine, but I want you to stretch the side of the neck and the shoulders so that as you inhale, you're really widening through the chest, pushing the knees open to the extent you can. Exhale, rounding, rolling the shoulders forward as if you can loop any tension out. Taking 2 or 3 more breaths here in this wide butterfly shape, moving the spine. Nice. Taking a tempo that really serves you best. Legs will come together and stretch out in front of us. Tuck the toes towards your face, stretch the arms overhead, drop the hands through heart center, Sat Nam. So hinging from the hips, you're thinking about your belly touching your thighs and your crown of your head touching your toes. It's a very open shouldered, open chest forward fold. So open that maybe you'll release your hands out wide, like with a wingspan beside you as the crown of the head, forehead tries to touch the toes. Take a couple more rounds of breath, getting into your peak fold here today, opening the shoulders the entire time, thinking about widening from the belly button through the shoulders as you fold down flat. That is going to sacrifice some of your depth, and it's okay. It's about opening through the middle back, through the low back. Take the one more exhale into your deepest fold. And then begin to stretch your arms forward out to the crown of the head into the deeper, more traditional fold you might normally have. We have about 30 seconds more here. So if you want to take a hold of your ankles or behind your knees, that's a good thing to do. Trust your breath and exhale 3 more times. Noticing if you've softened your toes, how the reflex of the feet versus release, if you have been flexing the whole time. Play with these nuances before leaving. Tuck the chin when you are ready to release, lifting upwards, rolling the shoulders behind you when you arrive. We have arrived to our peak asana, our most important posture of the practice. So take your right knee, bend it, lift it, place it on top of your left. Top of the foot is on the ground beside me, and I'm sitting upright. Again, you might need a block or a blanket underneath you, especially to prevent a sciatic sensitivity. You can also sit directly onto the mat. This is a half shoelace, and you're welcome to stay here, but I'm going to encourage you with me to bend that bottom leg in so that you are sitting happily between your 2 heels, where again, this is why a blanket or a block might help you in your practice. As long as you're sitting between your heels, you're doing good. Both knees are stacked, one on top of the other, top of the foot starting to rotate towards the ground. So you can massage into your feet and really love your ankles and foot here, especially if you don't want to go any farther into the expression today. I mind the time, you mind the breath, and together we mind our body's longevity. This is the #1 posture to prevent sciatic nerve issues, tension across the IT band. We're treating 100% of our leg, drawing synovial fluid and compressing it at the joints, stretching across the ankle. So much good going on. So inhale, stretch arms overhead, grateful for the wise body we have. Allow the right arm to come down onto the ground. Stay anchored to the opposite left hip and stretch up, 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 and over. Gazing down with the exhale, opening the gaze upward, lifting the armpit upward as you fill up fully here. You might repeat that once or twice. Noticing what's coming up in the middle of the back, how the oblique might feel here. Exhale a little bit lower, staying anchored in the left hip. And then inhale all the way upright. Universal hug, stretching both hands as far away from the midline as you can. Left arm will settle down, gently bending through the elbow as the right arm stretches overhead. Anchoring through the right hip the entire time. You can actually push through the left hand and sit down into that left hip, but stretch up, 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 and over. Breathing, the gaze can come down. Inhale to open up, really rounding the rib cage, widening the chest, stretching the shoulders. Exhale. And inhale. Personalizing the practice for you. Different things are coming up in your mid-back than are coming up from mine. Maybe it's the sensations of the feet or the knees that are more distracting. Wherever you are, take your fullest, deepest expression on this side and inhale all the way up, meeting that universal hug. One more time, imagining somebody that you would love to send a hug and seeing in your mind's eye them receiving that hug. Right, that's part of the meditation. It's part of the reward in your brain. Stretch the arms overhead, stay anchored through the hips and fold forward. This is our final destination in shoelace today. And if it's difficult to keep the hips anchored, then release upward a little bit and make a more humble fold. It's important that the hips stay anchored the entire time. You might have found you're able to work without the prop at this point into the practice. Creating fists on top of the knees will let your forehead come into compression if it's not able to reach the kneecap. So 4 more exhales here. You are safe to stay in shoelace for up to 5 or 6 minutes. Today's practice invited you to be here for over 3, which is usually the minimum for beginners. So if it's a lot going on for you and you've needed to release, that's a-okay and normal. Round the chin, lift yourself back upright, taking our arms overhead, fat nom to heart center. As you shift your weight backwards and unravel your legs, maybe you need a windshield wiper here or just to hang out where we started. Take 10, 20 seconds to personalize your practice for you. And then we'll meet with legs outstretched. Right, that windshield wiper might have been essential. Stiffness, tightness, so much going on in the body. Just take note without attachment. Left leg bends, knee stacks on top of the opposite knee, allowing the top of the foot to roll towards the ground. You're seated between your heels for shoelace. Option to stay here in half shoelace, especially if there's a profound asymmetry from one side to the other. Bending that outstretched leg inward to create the full shoelace sensation. Starting our journey here. So many benefits, so many nuances from one side to the body. Notice if your knees are perfectly stacked on top of one another, whether the sole of the foot can start to shine upward, whether you have equal weight distribution between the left and right hip, whether you can sit upright and breathe fully. All of these things matter tremendously, and there is something to personalize your practice along the way, no matter where you're at in this. So inhale, stretch arms overhead. Exhale, elbows come nice and wide. Inhale, arms come overhead. Satnam as hands drop through heart center. We'll move side to side just as we did before, but it's important we take note whether the left or right side feels more inviting, more safe, more comfortable, whether there's a notable balance between both sides. So inhale, arms come overhead, and right arm will drop towards the mat, bending gently through the elbow as you anchor through the opposite hip and stretch yourself up and over. Breathing heavily, fully, completely letting the belly inflate. The gaze can draw downward through the exhale. Inhale can open the chest and armpit so that you rotate the rib cage and the gaze upward a little higher, staying connected to what's going on in your back here, noticing that enduring the passage of time is going to create different sensations for each of us. So inhale, notice what's going on with the oblique as you sit upright. Take that universal hug, receiving love available for you. Left arm comes down to the ground as the right arm stretches overhead. Forgive me if I've double miscued. And stay anchored through that open hip. Notice what the oblique is doing. Stretch as much upward as over. And use your gaze to further express through the shoulders, opening upward through the inhale. Exhale to look down. Repeating that if it's inviting, but noticing what's going on in your body more than anything. Trying to stretch from the hip through the fingertip. Inhale back through that universal hug. And inhale, arms come overhead. Hands drop through the exhale, Satnam. So we have just one more minute in our shape. Exhale, folding forward into the deepest expression today. Forehead might touch the knees. Stacking fists is another way to create that compression. And what matters most is that the hips are anchored between your heels, steadily breathing into the hips with every breath. Breath by breath, passing your time here. 4 more exhales. A friendly reminder that you can practice shoelace for up to 5 or 6 minutes safely, and that this practice has invited us to hold it for more than 3. So if you've had to release early, no worries, and come on up out of that deep shoelace when you're ready, shifting your weight behind you to unravel your legs. We'll all meet in this windshield wiper shape for now. Dropping your knee towards your heel as you rotate the opposite knee outward. And your fingertips coming towards your body is going to be safest for your wrist. I bring that up because of where we're going next. Allow yourself to situate onto the mat so that you're supported, fingertips towards your body, feet hip width apart. We're just going to lift into a reverse tabletop here. And 2 things are going on. We're releasing our neck backwards. We're lifting our hips up. So inhale, lift your hips a little bit higher. Soften your jaw, keep breathing. Squeeze the inner thigh just as much as the naturally squeezing glute. And then exhale, lower down, look forward out in front of you. And let your chest lead, rolling your shoulders behind you. Feel that engagement of the core. It's like a half boat shape. So come back into your tabletop preparation, lift it on up, reverse tabletop, roll your shoulders back, feel the stretch across the chest, lift the hips a little higher, squeeze the inner thigh, and then slowly lower the bottom down, good. So make sure you feel your sits bones onto the ground, lead with your chest. It's a simple boat pose. You already have your oars, lift it out beside you, palms open to receive all the good fortune you can get. Left leg will lift if you're with me. Right leg will lift if you're feeling up to it today. You can come in and out of that easily if you're not so sure. But keep the shoulders rolled behind you. Lift the feet parallel to the ground, shins parallel to the ground if you can. Right, maybe reach behind the kneecap if you need a little release from this shape. We just have 30 more seconds here. You're building core strength. Imagine a V from the base all the way up, shining, right? As you further express this posture, you'll begin to hold behind your knees for support and straighten your legs, right? To create that V shape, never moving from that chest leading space. Good work, right? Roll on down, take a full body stretch. And drop back into the breath work. We begin and end the same way today, honoring the breath. So first things first, wiggle your fingers and toes. Notice that we were seated the entire time, and yet you can feel the blood flow circulating throughout your body, I hope, right? Notice that now. And let your heels be hip width apart, rooted downward as your toes flop out. Take hands at your hips, noticing if they're in line with one another, whether you can feel the bone, whether there's an energetic or pulsing sensation that's noticeable by your hands. And slide your left hand towards your belly button and your right hand over your heart. Breathing into the lower hand, feeling both hands lift as you completely inhale. Softening through the jaw, through the face, through the shoulders, through the elbows, through the hips, through the heels, through the toes as you exhale. Continuing to breathe easily with the natural tempo of your breath here. Incorporate 3 rounds of Sat Nam, allowing this to be echoed in your mind or even spoken out loud. Sat Nam. I agree with the truth within. I am the truth within. I see the truth within. Sometimes the meditation is just being with your interpretation of the words. Releasing the hands from their point, you'll bring them to your head, maybe to just trace your hairline, rubbing your forehead and your eyebrows today. If you'd like to close with breath work as we started, then Nadi Shodhanam is what I would prescribe. And you'll take your pointer and middle finger to anchor at the point between your eyebrows as your thumb gently blocks your right nostril so that you can breathe in and out of your left nostril. Keeping the breath inside the body, you'll use your ring finger to block the left nostril and the exhale to open the thumb and open the right nostril so that you can then fill up there again. And this Nadi Shodhanam breathing exercise, if you're familiar with it, you know, helps us balance the 2 sides of the body, the 2 sides of the brain. Filling up on one side, swapping the seal as you exhale to open the previously closed side. I would love to introduce you to this breath work if you're not familiar with it, but I know that those in the studio with me are, and I just invite you to take 3 more full rounds from wherever you are. Finding the harmony between lengthening that pause between the breaths with the opening breath work we did today, lengthening the inhales to pause between the exhale. So whether you've taken a nice massage of the forehead or these few rounds of Nadi Shodhanam, begin to relax the palms beside you, finding an expression that serves your practice. One hand up, one hand down to symbolize balance. Relax the shoulders, relax the jaw, and give yourself permission over the next 2 minutes to be more of an energetic being than a physical being. Wiggling your toes until they're ready to relax, feeling held in the right place at the right time, freeing the mind body to listen and be heard. Accepting whatever state of relaxation you have achieved, acknowledging any colors or sentiments or sensations that might come to your mind or body during these final relaxing moments. Accepting that there is no wrong or right way to do this, that the practice is personalized and evolving. So find your exhale, let go of anything that might keep you wanting to stay here, be that fatigue or existential curiosity. Wiggle the fingers and toes, let the inhales become longer than the exhales. As we roll ourselves onto one side into a tiny ball, honoring the path we've already completed, the way in which we are the path more than on the path. To come upright and close our practice together with the healing sound of Om, A-O-M. So inhale to fuel that sound, stretching arms overhead. I agree with and reflect the wisdom within you. Namaste and Sat Nam. A quick, easy practice that hopefully feels good. Let us know if you enjoyed the replay.